Just to do a query, how many of you have heard that Varnam before? That's cool. Okay. Okay, so for not Kritin because he's a Mridangam player, and not Sahana because you know things. Someone else, could you tell me what the name of the talam is? How would you name that talam properly? Who's heard that Varnam? I'm going to put people on the spot. Sveta, do you know the name of the talam at all?
Is it a cycle of 10 beats? Or is the cycle of 10 beats? Or?
Not 10 beats, it's 12.
12, okay.
Does it seem similar in structure to any other talam that you guys may have? Yes, what's up, Mukund?
Now you can jump a talam.
Okay, not Jampatalam, but it's one of those more complicated ones. It's not the first ones of the Alankarams, it's like later. Okay, Kritin, do you know? You don't know? Okay, how many? It's 12 beats. Did you notice the structure?
It was something like double adi.
Double adi. Double adi would be 16. I guess, yeah, if that's a thing. Yes, Mukund?
Is it a Rupakam talam?
Okay, so on the kind of same lines, because 12 is divisible by 3, so if you put a bunch of Rupakams, technically it'll come, but it's not Rupakatalam.
Is it Akatalam?
Adatalam, okay, it is Adatalam, but the thing is, Adatalam, Triputatalam, Rupakatalam are all bases, so then you need to tell me what jati it is. Chatushra jati Adatalam. Yes, that's the talam of this. So, how many of you have heard of Kanda jati Adatalam? Yeah. So, can anyone tell me a Varnam and Kanda jati Adatalam? Bhairavi. Kambodhi. So so I wanted to present something. We're mostly going to be talking to you guys and having a conversation about what is a Varnam. But I wanted to present also a couple of Varnams, and I thought, why not present something that maybe is a bit different? So I decided to present Chatushra Jati Adatalam. I learned it like 2 days ago, so if there are any mistakes, please do forgive them. So I'll start quickly with like what is a Varnam and talk a little bit about that. But I'm not going to get too bogged down in the definitions because it's a bit boring, and I want to talk about a little bit more exciting stuff. Plus I have an exciting multimedia presentation in the middle. So we will I'll show you what that is. So a Varnam, not to get too theoretical, I just think of it as a microcosm of all the different aspects we have in Carnatic music. So it sounds like a kriti when you sing the pallavi and anupallavi, portions. When you render the muktai swarams, it's great practice for rendering chitta swarams of kirtanas. When you practice slow and faster speeds of the charanam swarams at the end, then you get some good practice as far as vocal dexterity and also finger dexterity when you play various instruments to practice kalpana swarams. You can even take pieces. When I used to start, I just used this, like, if I have to sing Kalpana Swarams and Kairavi, I used to just take a part of the Varnam and stick it and see what happens. That was how I started. But most importantly, the Varnam is basically, if you think of a dictionary of ragams, a Varnam is like a dictionary entry for the ragam. Okay, so if I were a beginner and I wanted to know Sahana, I've heard all these older people say Sahana. What is Sahana? How do you figure out what Sahana is? You learn the Sahana Varnam, and that's like reading the dictionary for it. So that's the way I approach Varnam, and I think how as students we should begin to approach a Varnam. So Something that my guru always tells me. First of all, before we continue, I want to come at you that I'm not coming at you from the viewpoint of a guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a student. I may be further along in the pathway of learning, lifelong learning, than some of you, and than some of you that have had more experience than me, I may be a little shorter. I'm just here to share my experience and have a conversation. So along those lines, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to interrupt. This is very informal. But if you're a student learning about, just learning, my guru always tells me that that's the number one thing you can do for yourself, is to learn lots and lots of Varnams. Because the more Varnams you learn, the more Ragams you get exposed to, and the better you practice that Varnam. Later I'll talk about how to practice Varnams in different stages of your musical education, your musical progress. Then, the deeper understanding you get of that Ragam. You can also use Varnams to practice arithmetic concepts like Tishram, Chatushatishram, things like that. How to use it for practice, I'll talk about that later as well. You can use it to practice things like Tanam. Just take a Varnam and sing it in Anamta, and that's a good way to practice Tanam as well. To continue on with some definitions, in the context of dance, it's one of the most intricate pieces. It's where the dancer can show all of his or her repertoire. It's usually interspersed with jatis and everything, and that's such an important piece in that art form that I will not touch on at all. I'm going to talk about Varnams in a Carnatic music context because honestly I'm not well versed enough in dance to talk to you about dance in Varnam in a dance context. So, two types of Varnams, Tana Varnam and Pada Varnam. Does anyone know the difference between them or what they are? Do you want to chime in?
Tana Varnams, the Charanams don't have Sandhityam, Chita Swarams and...
Yes, that is correct. Any other differences? I personally think of it as Padavarnams are really designed to portray emotion. Particularly, and they convey a message, just like a Kriti may convey a message. And so, yes, Sahityam is incredibly important when you sing Padavarnam. Tanavarnam is more there as a vehicle to portray a ragam. So when Sweta plays Sri Ragam, that's like the picture of Sri Ragam we all get, right? When I think Swati sang Sahana Varnam, I think. So yeah, that's kind of the picture that of Sahana that you get. So that's kind of the difference of Tana Varnam. And also Tana Varnam is actually considered Tana because you sing it in a more brisk pace, Viruvirun Barnunjulua. And it kind of has those kind of aspects, sounds like Tana a little bit. So the Varnams are important. Why are they important? They're important in the same way the Kritis are important in one context because they're a composition in their own right? So the composer composed this piece and it's a piece to be enjoyed and delivered and for audiences to enjoy. Now, that's one reason that a Varnam is important. Why should you learn a Varnam? Well, it's a beautiful composition. Something nice to learn and to present in concerts. Another reason is because it's an essential practice tool, which is what I alluded to earlier, and we'll talk about that as we continue. So, there's when are Varnams usually sung in a kacheri? Does anyone?
In the beginning?
Yeah, good thing. In the beginning. Do you know why?
That's a good warm-up. Warm-up, yeah.
Mukund.
So like in the beginning there's like Kritis and the Varnam, then in the middle there'll be like the RTP or something.
That's correct. But that's perfect. Which one of those is the hardest to sing?
RTP.
Yes, I would say so. Which one of those do you think is the easiest to sing?
Varnam.
Yeah. Woo, good job. Round of applause for Mukund. Yeah, so a lot of people said it. It's one way to warm up your voice. And that's, I think, when Ariyakudi Ramana Jayangar was probably sitting on his unja and pondering how to sing a kacheri, he came up with the format that we all follow now. And he incorporated Varnams as kind of a beginning piece because it's a way to warm up your voice. Oh, there you are. You changed. So I was like, I was trying to look at you when I was talking about Sahana. I was like, so it's a beginning piece, and you sing it in the beginning to help warm up the voice. It's a brisk way to introduce the kacheri. Another essential reason that I've come to realize after a long time is that it's a way for us to gel. Right? When you sing a Varnam, and a lot of times when you sing kacheris, you're playing with accompanists you've never played with. I've never shared the stage with Karthik before. This Karthik, not that Karthik. And so singing a Varnam that we both know is a way that both of us can gel. So that's what I love. Even if you see the biggest music academy kacheri of the Vidwans, they'll sit there and then they'll come and sing like a Vanajakshi Kalyani, Adatala Varnam or Aditala Varnam, which you'll think, why are they singing that piece that the students learn from the beginning? It's because all of them are getting used to things. In the modern day setting, so back in the day, they're all gelling to each other. In the modern day setting, we're gelling with the sound system as well. Because as you all have experienced, we sometimes need some time at the beginning to get things right. So this is a way to gel with the sound system, right? So on that note, later we're going to present a Varnam. I'm going to sing a Varnam that neither of them have heard before. Because I just said it's a way for us to gel. It's only a way for us to gel if all of us know the Varnam. So I personally like to, if I'm going to sing a Varnam with artists who I've never played with before, I'll sing a Varnam that all of us will know. Right? Because or else you're just putting them in the middle of the ocean with nothing to grasp at. But later I'll sing a Varnam just so they can show, both of them can show how to accompany Varnam that you've never heard before. And I'll sing a Varnam, and the key point there is that I as a vocalist have to repeat everything twice. Or else it's not fair. He can't invent the composition. Like how's that supposed to work, right? So that's my responsibility as a vocalist, to do that for them. So because ain't nobody got time for that, because we only have like shorter kacheris, you sing a Varnam that we all know, so that you don't have to, you can sing it briskly. Okay. I want to just touch on one thing, something that's overlooked in Varnam. So Varnams, especially Tana Varnams, Pada Varnam Sahityam is very important because you're trying to convey a meaning. Tana Varnams, as students, when we begin to learn, we sometimes look at Sahityam second, for Varnams especially, which is fine. I mean, that's the purpose of a Varnam is not necessarily to sing convey a meaning. It's more necessary to convey the ragam through the mode itself. The metric mode of the Varnam is the most important thing. But that's not an excuse to butcher pronunciation. So this is kind of a little bit of a PSA. As vocalists, we can utilize at the beginning of the Varnam, each Varnam in the Varnam book, there's a little paragraph that we all usually skip that has all the lyrics. Varaniti Arohanam Avrohanam. I would encourage you all, after you learn the Varnam, take a look at that. So I just turned to it. So when I first learned this Vanajakshi Varnam 2 days ago, on Thursday, this is kind of embarrassing, but on Thursday, I sat down and I started to learn this Varnam. So when I first learned it, this is how I sang the second line of the Pallavi. Vachi yuna ninu darim sara. Okay, so that's fine. I learned that padamagari gani damagari sanisa. Like, right, that's the important thing. I need to convey that ganam of varari. So I learned that. But it's not yuna ninu, it's yunna ninu. Right? So I'll learn that and then I'll go back and I'll read. So what are the lyrics? Vachi yunna ninnu tarimsara vanchita palada. So then I modify how I give my stretches. So now I go Vachi yunna ninnu tarimsara vanchita palada. So I haven't sacrificed the Varnam, but I'm also not butchering the pronunciation. Rao, Mama, and I are working on a What in the World is Sahityam for May, so we'll touch on this a bit more at that point. But I think as vocalists, particularly growing up in the United States, I'll be honest, I don't know Telugu. I hardly even know Tamil. I do my best, but that doesn't mean we can just go willy-nilly. We need to do our part, even instrumentalists. Because you're going to teach students one day, hopefully. When you get to that stage, it's our responsibility to pass it on to the next. Do you want to? I thought you were saying something. Sorry. It's our responsibility to pass it on to the next generation. And if we don't know the next generation of kid is sitting there, you're teaching them, you don't know, you don't have that sahityam right, or you don't know, then it's not the most pleasant thing, right? So, pay attention to that. Okay. So that's my bit about definitions and introduction about what a Varnam is. Does anyone have any questions or anything to add even to the conversation?
I just want to add that it's also, if you can afford to, and if we have the people to help you, to also understand the meaning,
Yes.
so that you can bring the emotion
Yes.
that is associated with the meaning. Not just for the beyond pronunciation, I would also go and say that you should understand the meaning
Yes.
and bring it.
Agreed. Agreed. Particularly for Padavarnams is very important. Mukund, did you have your hand up?
Oh yeah. So what is the difference between a Varnam and a Kriti?
Okay, so it's a difference in form. So when a Varnam is composed, it has a Muktai Swaram embedded in it, and it's sung in two different halves. So you have, the commonality between a Kriti and a Varnam is the Pallavi Anupallavi Charnam structure is maintained in a Varnam too. Yeah.
Okay, so the Pallavi, Anupallavi and Charanam structures are maintained to an extent. The Charanam in itself is different because it's a repeated phrase which is embedded in between many Chittaswaram. So most commonly 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the main difference you can say is it has a Uttarangam and a Purvangam and Uttarangam. That's what is the terminology to differentiate a Varnam to a Kriti. Because it has 2 halves, and the Purvangam and Uttarangam, that's how it's called. And that's very prominent in dance especially.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what dividing.
So, Purvangam Uttarangam is a good concept to learn for all the kids out there. In Carnatic music, it just means part A, part B.
Exactly.
It's a good way to think about it. So, have you heard of Ragamtanam Pallavi, Mukund, or any other kids? Have you heard of Pallavi and Ragamtanam Pallavi? Every Pallavi has a Purvangam and Uttarangam.
Yeah.
Every single Pallavi, kids here, if you ever heard, there's always a pause in the middle of a Pallavi. It's like, why is he stopping? Have you ever thought that? I thought that when I was little. I was like, I don't get what's going on. Anyway, so that pause is the Purvangam. That first part.
We have a What in the World for Pallavi also.
Yeah, it's on the Radhapathi YouTube page. That's the Purvangam. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about how as a student you can use a Varnam. This is how I've learned how to use it. And Karthik, as I talk, feel free to just chime in with things for the Mridangam or the violin. So when you first learn a Varnam, you have to learn it. So always, I personally sometimes take the shortcut on this nowadays, but you shouldn't. You should learn the Swarams first, and then the Sahityam second. The reason for that is because the Swaram structures are very important, because the Varnam teaches you the basic gamakas of that ragam. It's a lesson on how to sing that ragam properly. Right? So you have to learn the Swarams first, make sure you're in Shruti. And after you first learn the Swarams and learn the Sahityam and learn how to sing it, the week after, when you kind of start to revisit the parts that you've learned, with your Guru's guidance, ensure that you're singing the Varnam with the proper gamakas and not just the flat notes. Yeah.
I have one small point to add.
Yeah.
This is something T.M. Krishnan Mama, when he gave a concert here, did, and this is something I want to pass on to other students as well. He started the concert with guest part, Mohan. Lot of students think, oh, it's very small. All I want to say is no Varnam is small or large, and you don't have to just show a complex piece to show you are good. You can actually do a very good job with a very, very basic Varnam, and he played it so well. I have never heard that Varnam being played that good. So there are things that people pass on to us. You just sit there and listen. Why did he pick Mohan Varnam? He could have picked any Varnam. But the fact of the matter is, there is beauty in every Varnam, and you can just play anything. It's not like you have to just say, oh, I only play Atatala Varnam. I've heard this from people. Oh, that's only this one. I only play Atatala. Why? You can play any Varnam and show that you're good at it. So, something very simple, and for such a stalwart to pass on, I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Yeah.
Especially for students to learn Layam, the concept of when you sing speeds.
Yes.
First, second, and third.
Yes,
How
and we're going to touch
how
on
to
that.
exactly double the speed
Yeah.
and do is a very important lesson for
Yes.
Varnam.
Yeah, and that's good. And that's something that you have to practice, even if you can't. For vocalists, I know, and maybe even for instrumentalists, I know sometimes you can't actually sing it. And so sometimes I used to forego practicing the second speed because I'll be like, I can't sing it that fast. It's very simple. What you do is you just slow down the first speed. And at one point, when you're a beginner, it feels like it'll be ridiculous to slow it down to a point where you can actually manage. Sometimes the fastest I can sing is like, can you play? If I can only sing it that fast, then actually half the speed. Sing it that slow, because not only, it'll sound like, oh my gosh, it's so slow, but it'll teach you how to sing that ragam slowly. Because gamakams change as speed changes, it's not the same. When you practice second speed, you're almost practicing a whole different varnam because you're shortening this distance between the notes. The gamaka of the notes become abbreviated and they become different. So if you can't figure it out, listen to recordings of Vidwans and Vidushis singing that varnam in second speed. And what I do is I just mimic them, because sometimes you're like, I don't have space, I sound so choppy, or I sound so like, that sounds very choppy, right? So then I'll figure out some recording of someone singing it that fast and I'll just copy. Or ask your guru. If you can't ask your guru, then figure that out. So that's when you first learn a varnam. Then you get it to a point where you can kind of sing it, and you can kind of just present the varnam in itself. And then, so I wanted to play, this varnam that I just sang is actually a Panturali varnam. This is actually the first thing I ever learned from my guru. And what I'm about to play a recording from 2009, when I had learned this varnam and I'd been practicing it for like a month. 2008. So 1 second.
The 10-year challenge.
10 years, So, there. Samini todi de vena. So I gave a lot of random things because I haven't figured out that gamakam yet. Gama padani. That ni to the sa is in Panturali is very fleeting, and that da ni, there's a huge distance there, the jump. So to sing that fluently, that smooth kind of jaru like gamakam, I hadn't learned that at that point yet, so I'm singing it so I'm giving a very sharp jump because in my voice I hadn't figured out how to do it properly. So if I would have left it there and never practiced it after that, I would still be singing I would never figure out So I'm playing this not to put down anyone who's at that level. I'm saying that all of us are at that level. But to get better, you got to practice the same varnam over and over again. The most important part of learning a varnam is not when you first learn it. It's 10 years later when you get to practice it. If you can't do it, I know all of us are. I know all of us are in school and we're all busy. If you can do one thing every day. So the best investment I made, I was telling Godangi this earlier. The best investment I made the last 2 years is I got a Bluetooth speaker for my shower. That's waterproof. No, hear me out. I'm serious. What do? You take a shower, 5-10 minutes? What do you do? And then you just like, you're scrubbing yourself. Anyway, that's a good opportunity. All I do is put Shruti, and I can sing. Make singing in the shower like a thing. if you're one of those kids who you're getting to the end of high school or college, first of all, looking back, I had so much time in high school and college. I know it seems like you don't have time, but oh my gosh, you have oodles of time. You have all the time in the world. Please use the time, because when you get to, as you get further, you just have less and less time. Yeah.
How about instrumentalists?
Yeah, so they're going to talk about that specifically. Oh, you're talking about in the shower? Okay, I do not endorse taking your violin, mridangam, or flute inside the shower. If you do that and you ruin it, I'm not liable or responsible. Don't try this at home if you're an instrumentalist. If you're a vocalist, go for it. Well, they're going to give the perspective from instrumentalist side, I promise. Oh my gosh, there's so much time. Okay, I will speed it up as fast as I can. Okay, so then, that was that. And this is, I really miss Arjun. I'm sad that he can't come because he's doing great things in Illinois, but this is actually Arjun accompanying me in a kacheri in Greensboro. I sang the same Varnam. This is 2010, so 2 years after. Bit better. Nah, it's okay. Not completely there, but a bit better. So there, did you hear? Chakani. Chakani. Listen to the first recording. Singing Sakani. I'm saying it's okay. When you first learn, obviously you don't know, but make sure to revisit and think, am I singing it right? Am I doing the best I can? How do I revisit this? Always be a learner. That's why I said I'm not a guru, I'm a student. All of us are students. We have to keep getting better. So just quickly, let me just sing this Varnam now and see if I've gotten any better. Just the beginning parts. Sami todi vena chakani maranga bhumi vena yunaga puramuna sami samudara gopala sari ni sadani sari ni dapama gama pada mapa gama gama pada ni sari gani sari ni sa ni dapada mama gani sari sari gama pada ni sari todi. Yeah.
If somebody is driving you, that's the best time to practice too.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, that's a great. Someone's driving you.
If you are driving, hear to the recording.
Look, I literally do this.
I always do that.
So I don't necessarily hear the recording. What I used to do is when I was a master's student, I used to drive back here for events or everything. Even now I drive. I just put the Shruti box to the aux and I just sing while I drive. So, forget the radio, political climate's crazy now, so you don't need to listen to that. If you want to listen to music, do that. I do that too. If you want to listen to non-Carnatic music, I do that too. But just have some time where you just put on some Shruti and it's a good time. Anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to prompt Karthik here, and Karthik's going to talk a little bit about Mridangam. So Karthik, can you talk about, does a Mridangist need to learn Varnams? Or...
Yeah, so Guru Maha. Yeah, that's a good point. Every Mridangam artist should at least know the most common Varnams sung in the concert. I mean, the last concert that Kirtan played, he literally knew the Varnam. Like he has like taken the effort to learn the Varnam and at least play what the Varnam is. Embellishing on top of it is next. But every Mridangist should know the Varnam, and he should also know, at least in my opinion, the gamakams that are associated with the Varnam. So the approach to similarly structured Varnams, even like Mohanam and Abogi, are completely different because the Varnams, the gamakams and the Varnams are different. So maybe we can have a demonstration where we can demonstrate why, how like in how do you accompany Mohanam and Abogi Varnam, which are very similar in structure, or Santa Varnam, which is very similar in structure, but what the difference in the accompaniment can be, because knowing that Varnam there will help you go a long way when you accompany. So
You want me to sing?
yeah, we can do it after later.
Okay. So then the other thing is, can you elaborate a little bit on how it's not about how you accompany and like about how you don't accompany the Varnam, not how you play for it? You talked a little bit about that before.
Yeah, like he mentioned at the start, the Varnam is the introduction piece for the accompanying artist to the main artist on the stage. So literally today, I have never heard Swati sing before. So she started with the Varnam. It's what my guru has told me. It's not the place where, because it's at the startup for the vocalist, it's not warm up for you too. It's not where you play all the solo that you know, and okay, today I can play this better, so I'll incorporate more that in the concert. It's not like your first stage rehearsal for the Tanyarjun that you're going to play at the end. The key here is the Varnam lets you identify the bani of the artist, the style and the school of singing. So if you literally don't know the artist, but if you've heard enough, you can figure out which school of singing or where it is inspired from, and it can help you a lot while you accompany, because different schools sing the same Varnam and Kriti different ways. So if you've heard enough, the how not to accompany is basically don't play as many solos, we can do the demonstration.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say is underwritten in everything that Karthik just talked about is to do all of that. You need to listen to a lot and actually be aware of what all kind of types of schools there are, what kind of types of artists there are. You need to listen to a variety of different artists. And that's one thing I'll say is that as a Carnatic music student, yeah, you can learn and you can practice and perform, but if you don't listen, then you need to have that innate interest and desire to listen to music, to Carnatic music, and enjoy it. Listen for the sake of enjoyment, not for the sake of homework or the sake of doing it. Because when you get to that point where you can just listen a lot, and things will just kind of slot in naturally. You'll listen so much, it'll just kind of get into you. So we'll do a demonstration at the end. Karthik, I want you to talk about a couple of points for just tips for violin kids. What have I missed? What do you want to add?
So Sudarshan was talking about, and the audience also added a lot about Sahityam in the Varnam. Violinists don't have a mouth. They can't sing while they play, because that's a handicap of the violin. Yes, it can also be a benefit, but I'm trying to say that on the violin, Sahityam is not as important as for a vocalist. That being said, it is important to learn the Sahityam and understand where the Sahityam is placed, and understand the meaning of the Sahityam, so that you can bring out the musicality of the Varnam. However, I have to say this, when composers compose Varnams, they don't intend them as wordy compositions. They're not a burst of emotion, they're more like a studied building of a ragam. It's not like, so composers like the Tanjore Quartet, Vadivelu, who composed the Kamboji Varnam, I think. Yeah. So all those people, they compose the Varnam using much thought into how the ragam goes and what they can do. And because of that, I'll get to it later, because of that, some of the things that they do don't gel very well with the lyrics. Some of the things they do don't gel very well with the, just the pathway of the ragam. So if you're looking for a story in a Varnam, that's not going to really happen. If you're looking for, Sahitya Bhavam in a Varnam, it's not as important. So you have the Tana Varnam, which violinists can use a lot of it for technique, and they can use it for practicing their Tanam going in the fast speeds. They can use it for layam practice. They can use it for aritham, which is common misconception. It's not how hard you press, it's actually the length, variva koraiva of the swaram and stuff like that, which makes aritham. And all of that can be seen in the Varnam. So, yeah, technique in Varnams. Violinists can use that. They again, like Sudarshan said, they learn the various gamakams, how to use them, where to use them, which speed they can use them in. I myself have experienced, my fingers just don't move as fast as I need to in as they need to when I'm playing fast.
Yeah.
So when we look at the Todi Varnam, the same second speed in this Varnam would be which is I'm kind of taking a bunch of shortcuts. It's I'm bringing a fleeting glimpse of every single gamakam rather than, fully going into the gamakam.
Not the same,
It's
yeah.
not the same. Yeah, so technique in Varnams. And another thing I wanted to say, Karthik also talked about it, accompanying for Varnams in a violinist sense, perspective, it's very hard.
So if you notice that I sang that Panturali, he hasn't. That's not the Panturali Varnam in the book. That's a different Panturali Varnam. He's never heard.
I haven't heard the Varnam.
So if you heard, he was just kind of
soft.
which is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
So when vocalists sing Varnams that you don't know, there are certain patterns that Varnams do have. Purvangam, Aridi, and then usually something like tadi kedatum varum, or else just like a 6/4 or something like that, so or else it will continue following the beat yavari pona vini adlayam 5/5 varudhu. So yeah, you can use those patterns, but in reality it would be pretty hard to accompany for a Varnam. The best thing that I can suggest is when the vocalist is singing slowly, try to shadow him. When they do their second speed, which I was lucky, he didn't do second speed for his Varali, or else I would have completely corporated. So when they do their slow speed, pick up whatever you can, pick up the patterns, pick up the the trail of the Varnam, because again, like I said, when composers compose the Varnams, it's studied. It doesn't have a specific plot. It doesn't have a predictability like you can get when you get to a certain level and you've listened to a lot of kritis, you've played a lot of concerts, you understand how to predict what comes.
Even you guys, a lot of you guys at your level, if you hear one Hamsatuni Kirtanam, you can kind of.
They're all
you can kind of, but
especially in Rakti Ragams like Yadukula Kamboji, they all they follow the same path. They follow, they have a certain
repetition.
You could say repetition. Yeah. So the problem with Varnams is they're really confusing. They're really muddled in the sense that they don't have that plot. So what you have to do as a violinist is just, listen on the spot, try to pick up what you can when the vocalist does his nadai stuff and rendu kalam and stuff like that. Just do what you can. If you can't do it, just play soft.
Yeah.
It's not.
Just don't interfere.
Yeah, I just want to add here. As Mridangams, we don't get that opportunity to just play soft. So, if you don't know the Varnam, because the first part is knowing the usual Varnams, the usual 25 suspect Varnams that everybody sings, usually you are in a concert. But after that, you can derive a lot of, the Varali Varnam that he sung. I've literally listened to it years before. I was trying to recollect as long as he sing, as soon as he was singing. If he had sung second speed on that, I would have been caught.
So just to catch, why do you think I did it in second speed?
Because
that's part of the answer. But you're banned from talking. It's a very simple answer. Yeah, go Mukund.
It's kind of too hard to sing like a Varnam in second speed.
Okay, it is hard. Yes, that's actually part of the answer. That's the answer. That's the answer. I only learned this Varnam 2 days ago. So the thing is, when you learn the Varnam, yeah, you can learn the first speed, but to sing second speed on a stage, yeah, when I'm home, I can just take the Varnam and try to sing it in second speed. But it's learning a completely different Varnam. Like Karthik said, the Gamakas are all different. I can't sit up here and make a flub of myself. Varali is incredibly tough. But I can't sit up here and just do something crazy. The respect and the respect of the stage is very important. Okay, so you can't just do crazy things on stage. Yes, mommy.
Also the respect to the accompanies.
Yes, and that also.
Very much so.
Yes.
Please be nice to
So
us.
all those factors combined are the reason why I didn't,
Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that being said, I was talking about Varnam not having a plot and stuff like that. Later on, as time progressed, there are newer composers that compose Varnams. Papna Sivan, I forgot his name. Balgudi Mama, TR Subramanian. All these people, they added more, bhava and bhakti into the Varnam. So after a certain point, you can start predicting what goes on in those Varnams. But older Varnams, they're very confusing and very, so yeah.
Okay. Anything else to add? Okay, so how much time do I have? Should I just stop? Because I know I'm pretty much over time.
No, that's okay. You can continue.
Oh.
I think people want to listen to more, but it's 7:45.
5 minutes?
I don't think we have a closing time for this place, right?
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Rao Garu. When should
I can finish right now in 2 minutes, or I can take 5
We're already late.
Okay. What does that mean?
So 10 minutes. Stop as soon as you can because Andhra Mahal.
Got it. Okay. So I'll finish as soon as I can. So. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. It's very simple, just the line down. So, just to tag along this is going to be the final thing. I'm just going to sing a quick Varnam. To tag along on what they were saying about, how to accompany a Varnam that you don't know. I'm going to sing a Varnam that neither of them have heard. How do you want to do the thing?
For the first line, I'll just do what not to do.
Okay. For the first line, first 2 lines. For the first 2 lines, he's gonna accompany how you're not supposed to play, and then he'll fix himself. Karthik, you can do whatever you want. This da da re 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 da 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 re 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 Manju bhashana nikiti Manju ಬಾರಿ ಕೋರ್ವಲೆ ಪಂಚ ಪಾಡುನಿ ಬಾರಿ ಕೋರ್ವಲೆ ಪಂಚ ಪಾಡುನಿ ಬಾರಿ ಕೋರ್ವಲೆ ಮಗಸ ಸರಿ ಗಮ ಪಂಚ ಪಾಡುನಿ ಬಾರಿ ಕೋರ್ವಲೆ Questions or anything to add?
How the instrumentalist should prepare? How the instrumentalist should practice?
So how we played? Can you tell me how you?
Yeah, just like how did you manage, Karthik?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but the first line I just, I waited. And the second line, I focused, I was listening to what he was doing and I was like, okay, what's the pathway that the Varnam takes? And then the second time that he sang it, I tried to replicate what I could. And I think, is this a more recent one?
Yeah, it's actually composed by Tarangam Party Panchanada Iyer.
It's more...
No, sorry. Mannargudi Shambhasabha Bhagavatam.
It's a little more predictable than, one of the past Varnams. That's why I was able to, do it. Had it been something weirder?
I was being nice.
Yeah, exactly.
If you saw Karthik, the second time I sang everything, he just... So that's what you do. The first time, don't get in the vocalist's way, then absorb what they're doing, and then, playing with recordings helps a lot. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time. We're going to sing Indra Mahan Babulu now. Before that, Ram Mama is going to talk about some votive things.
Can we do one thing?
Yeah.
Can we just do the final Mangalam? I will do the vote of thanks. Vote of thanks will be Indra Mahan Babulu.
Oh!
Because I think we are running late.
Okay. Wait, what?
No,
We are running late.
Oh, okay, just Mangalam.
Just Mangalam.
Okay, perfect, let's do it. Okay, then I'll just sing it then.
Sorry for that. I think this is useful. You all agree, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Thank you a lot.
we'll do, as he said, we'll do another version of